Warm greetings to you all. It's my privilege to be a part of this webinar on the paradigm in ELT. I would like to thank the Secretary, Principal, Director, ICT Coordinator, and Head of the Department of English, GVN College, Kovilpatti. My special thanks to Mr. Balakrishnan, the Organizing Secretary, for recommending me to this program. The topic which I have chosen today is an overview of blended learning. I would like to present an insight of this blended teaching and learning environment. Blended teaching and learning environment is actually more relevant to the present pandemic situation. We can adapt this method even after this pandemic situation too. This method will ultimately enhance our teaching learning environment. We all know that the educational system at present is in a transition stage. It is now mandatory to meet the challenges of expansion and catering individuals' need. Our system is trying to adapt new technologies and exploring new paths to reach the goal of quality educational opportunities for all. The most prevalent mode of teaching in our country is the traditional mode of teaching. It provides a much needed human touch to teaching learning process. Personality and behavior of the teachers directly influence the blooming personality of the students. Only face-to-face interaction meets the affective objectives along with cognitive and psychomotor skills. We all agree that face-to-face traditional approach helps in developing a strong value system. Social skills like cooperation, sharing, expression, and respecting others' views are more easily developed in traditional mode of teaching. Students learn not only from books or from teachers teaching inside the classroom, but we can also observe the students learn from their peer group interactions too. They learn many skills in their small social interactions. These are all necessary for a proper personality development. But it is the need of our hour to make the knowledge of students correlates with the present technological advancement and globalization. ICT supported teaching learning process is a good option to improve the quality, to increase students' exposure, and to meet and to minimize the teaching errors. We all have realized in this pandemic situation that ICT supported teaching provides new dimension to teaching learning process. It introduces students to the wide pool of knowledge and opens before them innumerable opportunities to learn, unlearn, and relearn. All types of learners and teachers can be benefited by this mode of teaching. This ICT supported teaching learning process helps reaching to all students. As per the words of Swami Vivekananda, if people cannot reach school, schools should reach them. Our education should incorporate this in its future terms. ICT supported teaching learning environment is exactly doing the same as Vivekananda said. While analyzing both the modes of teaching and the learning process, like traditional and ICT enabled modes. The analysis shows that both have few merits as well as demerits. Both are catering different needs, demands, and expectations from the educational system. So, what is the solution? We have to provide and design such a system that is based on an integrated approach. The demand of today is an approach that blends the advantages of both the modes for the students' learning, that is, blended learning. Now, let's see what is blended learning. It is a thoughtful fusion of face to face and online learning experiences. We can define it simply like it is the use of traditional classroom teaching methods along with the online learning materials. The blended learning is an important and rapidly developing form of education in the current scenario. It benefits both the educators and the students. It offers greater flexibility and convenience, as well as potential increases in learner creativity and independence. I would like to explain two existing frameworks in this blended learning model. The first one is complex adaptive blended learning system, which is usually termed as CABLS framework. And the second one is community of inquiry theoretical framework. Now let's observe complex adaptive blended learning system. This figure outlines all the components of CABLS framework. We can see that learner is at the center of the model, but all the other components impact each other. There are six elements with their own subsystem here. Each elements do not only have own character and subsystem, but also act in relationship to all the others. As in any complex system, the relationships are dynamic and integrative. This adaptive system of blended learning emerges from the relationships. The CABLS framework is designed to facilitate a deeper, more accurate understanding of the dynamic and adaptive nature of blended learning. These are the six elements of the CABLS framework. The first one is learner. If the learner is engaged for the first time in this system, the learner has to change or adapt according to this system. Next, teacher. The role of teacher is also new in blended environments sometimes. The teacher will co-evolve with the students. Then, both the teacher and the student have to adapt each other along with the other four elements in the system. The teachers will be identified by new label here, such as facilitators, mentors, advisors, and moderators. The next is the most important part of these six elements: content. Subject matter is still an important influence on the delivery of learning. Content refers to the material elements used to engage learners in the process of mastering that subject. The interactive, dynamic, media rich materials available online which create opportunities to make use of it in the course of experience. The available materials can be added before, during, and even after the course experience. The dynamic between the learner, the teacher, the technology, the learning support, and the institution impacts the choice and use of content. Next comes technology. Technology is an important aspect in blended learning. Technology, in turn, refers to any equipment or mechanism that extends the human capacity to get things done. Technology for learning requires new rules for the learner and the teacher and new ways of accessing and working with content. In this theoretical framework of CABLS, the technology has to be seen as part of the system of blended learning, which includes all elements working in relationship to each other. The next aspect is learner support. It helps the learners to master the content and become competent learners. Support can involve technology troubleshooting, material access, and learning to communicate effectively online, as well as the other usual support around understanding content and assignments. The last one is institution. Just as classroom based learning requires buildings, desks, lighting, and other accessories of brick and mortar institutions, this blended learning requires technological infrastructure and digital janitors. Institutional support is a sufficient condition for successful blended learning. I insist again, the CABLS framework is designed to facilitate a deeper, more accurate understanding of the dynamic and adaptive nature of blended learning. The second framework which we are going to analyze is the Community of Inquiry Theoretical Framework in Blended Learning. In 2000, Garrison, Anderson, and Archer published a theoretical framework. It was developed to structure the process of learning in an online or blended environment. The community of inquiry is a model of inquiry based teaching and learning. It is based on the work of John Dewey and the constructivist views of experiential learning. The community of inquiry framework describes the necessary elements to create deep and meaningful learning. The original framework identifies the education experience as occurring at the convergence of three presences: cognitive, teaching, and social. Inquiry based teaching also requires making the learning process explicit. It is based on the early work of Schwab in the year of 1966. According to him, the active inquiry process starts by using questions, problems, and materials, which in turn invite the learners to identify relationships between concepts or variables. As learners advance, questions or problems are presented, and the learners discover the path to answer themselves. In the final stage, a topic will be presented. Learners themselves identify questions, problems, methods, and answers. The teacher has to provide guidance and facilitate learning. We have gone through two frameworks: the complex adaptive blended learning system and community of inquiry. The CABLS framework analyzes learning into a complex and dynamic system of six interacting elements. The community of inquiry emphasizes inquiry based teaching. It describes meaningful learning as the convergence of cognitive, teaching, and social presence. We, Indian teachers, can add emotional presence as a potential fourth component. Both frameworks can provide guidance in developing blended learning content and processes to support active lifelong learners. Now, let's consider the relationship between blended learning and technology enabled learning using the SAMR model. The expansion of this term is: S stands for substitution, A augmentation, M modification, and R redefinition. It describes how technology can be progressively integrated into the classroom. It is an approach for the progressive implementation of new technology. Substitution. Here, technology acts as a tool substitute with no functional change. Computer technology is used in the same way pen and paper might be used. A worksheet is filled out either on a paper or on a tablet, smartphone, or computer. There is no functional difference. There is only the opportunity to use different tools for the same exercise. This can be the learner's choice or teacher directed. Augmentation. Technology acts as a tool substitute with functional improvement. Here, the technology adds a dimension which is not available with traditional teaching tools. For example, a computer quiz can be taken rather than a pen and paper quiz. The difference lies in immediate feedback because the computer provides correct answers and additional reinforcement with video, audio, or text when correcting an answer or acknowledging a correct answer. The next one is modification. Here, technology allows for significant task redesign. In modifying the traditional tools, technology is used to change the function of the lesson. For instance, an essay writing exercise uses video and audio software to present it virtually. The last one is redefinition. Technology allows for the creation of new tasks previously inconceivable. In this case, using technology is an entirely new teaching and learning activity. Students use devices to search the internet for material rather than looking in books or going to the library. There are some applications to do spell check or correct the material, which help to complete the task. Wikis are used to create multi authored artifacts and texts to complete group assignments. There are a few set of questions or objectives to be fulfilled to make a successful blended learning. We have to check What type of digital programs and resources will support our curriculum, instruction, and vision for blended learning? Next, what devices or what type of technology are we going to use? Next, what does the related professional development look like? Finally, how are we going to support teachers and students through the transition? O'Connell offered 7 sample configurations of blended learning activities to consider for our teaching situation. These examples of blended learning are drawn from higher education but can be shaped to fit any teaching and learning situation. The first one is blended face to face class, which is sometimes called as face to face driver model. This is based in the classroom, although a significant amount of classroom time has been replaced by online activities. Seat time is required for this model, while online activities are used to supplement the in person classes. Readings, quizzes, or other assessments are done online at home. This model allows students and faculty to share more high value instructional time because class time is used for higher order learning activities such as discussions and group projects. The second one is blended online class. It is referred to as the online driver model. This class is the inverse of the blended face to face class. The class is mostly conducted online, but there are some required in person activities such as lectures or labs. Next comes the flipped classroom. The flipped classroom reverses the traditional class structure of listening to a lecture in class and completing homework activities at home. Students in flipped classes watch a short lecture video online and come into the classroom to complete activities such as group work, projects, or other exercises. The flipped classroom model can be seen as a submodel of the blended face to face or blended online class. The next one is the rotation model. In this model, students in a course rotate between various modalities, one of which is online learning. There are various submodels: station rotation, lab rotation, and individual rotation. In station rotation, students required to rotate between stations in the classroom at an instructor's discretion. Others work well on a college campus. In the lab rotation model, students required in a course to rotate among locations on campus, at least one of which is an online learning lab. In the rotation model, individual rotation model, a student rotates through online learning modalities on a customized schedule. The self blend model. While many of the blended learning models on this list are at the course level, self blending is a program level model which is familiar to many college students. Learners using this model are enrolled in a college course degree but take online courses in addition to their traditional face to face class. The next one is blended Mooc, massive open online courses. The blended Mooc is a form of flipped classroom, using in person class meetings to supplement a massive open online course. Students access Mooc materials, perhaps from another institution or instructor, if the course is openly accessible outside of class, and then come to a class meeting for discussions or in class activities. We can find any number of courses in Swayam and Nuptial. The last one is flexible mode courses. Flexible mode courses offer all instruction in multiple modes, in person and online, and students choose how to take their course. Blended learning is more than technology in the classroom. Introducing technology for the sake of technology never works. A set of principles and a theoretical framework are available to guide in developing an appropriate blend of online and in person activities, which leads to an effective learning environment. Like any way of doing things, there are both benefits and challenges to implement innovative processes and products. But the benefits and challenges are depending on the individual consent. I will list a few common benefits and barriers to blended learning. The first benefit is opportunity for collaborate learning. Online learning spaces offer more engaging collaboration experiences between students and instructors. These opportunities include collaborative tools such as online forum discussions, wikis, blogs, chat, etc. Through these tools, collaborative connections are available in or out of the online classroom. As part of learning is done through ICT, online or offline mode, teachers and students get more time in the classroom for creative and collaborative exercises. Next, there is an improved accessibility. It gives access to classroom and online materials at a convenient time and pace. Blended learning provides convenience and develops learning skill. Then it improves communication. Teachers can reach students through multiple communication channels. Learning management systems offer many communication opportunities like email, chat, news, forums, assignment spaces, etc. Next comes assessment strategies. Students' evaluations of both formative and summative feedback can be more detailed and frequent through online reporting structures. Self evaluation and practice assessments can improve engagement and learning. Now let's observe some common challenges. The first thing is technological requirement. Technological requirement includes hardware, software, and internet access with appropriate bandwidth. The tools must be available, user friendly, reliable, and apt for internet use to support learning in a meaningful way. The next thing is lack of self discipline and self direction. Online learning requires and encourages learner independent and management. But we can observe that many students will watch multiple weeks worth of video lectures at once rather than according to the course structure. We cannot expect self discipline and self direction from all the students. I'm just concluding my presentation. What I have presented is only about the theoretical aspects of blended learning and its relevant models. We can have a better understanding only after exploring it and experiencing it. Finally, implementing blended learning needs a full dedication on the part of the stakeholders of the educational institutes. It needs a well-planned design that include all from the individual from top to bottom of the educational hierarchy. It is need of the hour to structure blended learning course or program to meet our students' need in our own learning context. As with any design process, developing effective blended learning is not about following a particular recipe, but it is about combining key principles with our own experience, reflection, and critical judgment. Effective teaching in blended learning course or programs requires thinking and planning across a number of dimensions at once: social and emotional, teaching and cognitive, technological and pedagogical. So, it is time to reflect on our own personal teaching philosophy and ask ourselves how it applies or can be adapted to teaching in blended learning environments. I wish you the best on your journey as a blended learning developer, designer, and instructor. Thank you all.